and are a very, very important resource partner for the SBA. We also have Carmen Gonzalez and Jay Choi that are both business opportunity specialists with the North Florida District Office. We also have Amy Perez, business opportunity specialist, and Aileen Fernandez, both business opportunity specialists with the South Florida District Office. In attendance, we also have our district office leadership, District Director Janelle Hine from the North Florida District Office. She'll be representing both the North and South Florida District Office for today's event. We have a great event planned for you guys this morning. We think everybody will be able to take something away to further their business, whether it's a new resource that you learned about or from the firsthand experience from our 8A veteran that are both military and government contract veteran experts today. I'd like to be the first person to wish all of you a happy Veterans Day. I know it's about a week early, but and we'd like to thank you for your service to our country. Many of you have done some incredible things in the military during your time in service and continue to do so with support your firms provide to the military today. You and your firms provide some extraordinary service across all branches of service, and we thought that by bringing our military 8A veterans together for Veterans Small Business Week, you could be able to share and meet other great and like-minded veterans, small business owners like yourselves, to increase your competitive advantage and lethality. Now with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Natalie Hall.
Hi, Ron. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Again, thank you for your service, and thank you guys for being here this morning with us for this great event. You guys could have been anywhere else on this Friday morning, but you are planning on spending a couple of hours with us. So I want to introduce our district director, Janelle Hine, so she can kind of kick off the event with some great key opening remarks regarding SBA programs and services. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, Janelle.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody's attendance here. I also echo what Ron and Natalie have said, and thank you for your service. For those that are military veterans, active service members, maybe looking to transition to retirement or the next phase of your existence, or if you're a military spouse. All of you have served, and we appreciate everything that you've done for our country. Happy to be here to celebrate the 10th anniversary of National Veterans Small Business Week. Obviously, I want to thank our staff who are on this call. I want to thank our Veterans Business Outreach Center, which is our premier small business strategic partner to help people with the assistance that they need in getting their business started or operating their business. They implement a lot of our Boots to Business programming around our state, and we appreciate their assistance with what we're doing. Happy to be here in Miami actually today. I'm going to another event. I'm normally sitting in our Jacksonville office, but the difference between North and South is that North covers the upper 43 counties of North Florida, and the 24 counties south of Orlando are covered by South Florida. Really, we play very well together. Obviously, this collaborative event is evidence of that, but it doesn't matter which district office you reach out to, we'll get you to the right person. So appreciate you being here. I wanted to let you know that this particular program that we're going to talk about today, the 8A program, is very vital to what we do. It's our premier government contracting and business development program. And combined, last year, the North and South Florida District Office accepted contracting offers in the 8A program for over $1.5 billion. I mean, that's a huge number and something that we're really proud of. Proud the fact that we have firms that are able to get these contracts. They've been self-marketing to the contracting entities, and proud of our staff who have assisted them along their journey. It's a program that has been around for many, many years. I know we're going to talk about some of the changes to it recently, but I'm also very, very pleased that we have some existing 8A firms on the line to actually give you testimonials about how the program has worked for them. It doesn't work the same for everybody, but the thing that I want you to remember is that when you're doing business, as many of you know, It's about people. It's about relationships. And it can seem like you're on a very lonely journey when you're an entrepreneur because you're in the thick of running your business every day. What we want to give today is not only some programmatic information about the 8A program, but some resources that you can reach out to, and some connections that can be made to help you further what you're doing for your business and to help you grow and scale. So happy to be here. I don't want to keep back the programming because there's a lot of good information that I know Ron and Natalie want to share with you. So if you have any questions, please reach out to either of our offices. Like I said, we'll get you to the right person. But happy to be here. And I also echo what Ron said, a little early happy Veterans Day. It's always better to be early than late. So thank you for letting me say a few words.
Thank you, Janelle. And we also have our Deputy District Director from the Jacksonville District Office, Jeff. I want to give him a moment to say hello to you guys as well. Come on, Jeff.
Good morning. Thank you again. Thank you for your service. I also see that Althea, my counterpart in South Florida, is on the call. There's a lot of good information today. I want to think about it. We have the best trained and best equipped military in the history of warfare. And one of the reasons we have that is because the government values diversity in the supply chain. So our small business contractors actually contribute to the success of our warfighters. You can continue your service by supplying the government with the equipment and the services that it needs. With that, I'll be brief because we've got a lot going on. Again, thank you for your service.
Thanks, Jeff. And since Althea is here, Althea, would you like to say hello to the attendees?
Hey, Natalie, this is Ron.
Thanks, Natalie.
Go ahead and
I appreciate
her.
it. Thank you so much. Really.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you mind if I introduce you?
No, I don't. Go ahead, Ron.
All right. Hey,
okay, sure.
Yes, our Deputy District Director from South Florida for the South Florida District Office is on. Thank you, guys. Althea Harris, she's been helping businesses her entire federal career, which began in 1993 at the U.S. Department of Commerce with the late Secretary Ronald H. Brown. There she traveled worldwide in support of small and medium-sized exporters. Then she helped small business owners compete for federal contracts while at the U.S. General Service Administration in the Office of Enterprise Development. Having held several positions within the SBA office in Miami since 1999, Althea now serves as the Deputy District Director, overseeing a staff that implements SBA's mission throughout the district's 24-county territory and advocating on behalf of the estimated 2 million plus two small business owners. She is responsible for the daily operation of the district office in Miami and the alternate work site in Tampa, Florida. Althea is also the Faith and Community-Based Initiative Coordinator for the office. She's a graduate of Howard University and the University of Miami School of Law. Althea is also active in her community. She currently shares her time and talents as the board chairman of the Greater Miami Youth for Christ and chairman of the board of trustees at Christ Journey Church in Coral Gables. She's a Washington native. Althea shares her life and love with her husband and their 4 wonderful children. Without any further ado, Althea.
Oh, thank you, Ron. That was so nice of you to give me a formal introduction. I'm so delighted to have the opportunity to just say hello. I'm not going to prolong this because, as my colleagues have said, we have a great lineup for you today. But I did want you to know that what we know at SBA is that veterans index very high for success in business. And part of the reason is, no doubt, because you have absolutely great training, which Jeff alluded to, in the military, but you have the discipline, you have the fortitude, you have the ingenuity and innovation to succeed in business. And so I am so glad that you joined today. And I hope that everything that's presented today will help you as you start a business, grow a business. We know you're going to succeed in business. And so we're excited about this presentation today. And I too want to thank you so much for your service. Because of what you did, I didn't have to do it. I could spend 30 years serving small businesses throughout my federal career. So thank you very much. Thanks, y'all. Have a great session today.
Great. Thank you, Althea. All right, Natalie?
Okay. So thank you, Althea. So I also want to introduce and give Jay and Carmen with the Business Opportunity Specialist with the North Florida District Office an opportunity to click on and say hello to you guys as well. So Carmen, you want to pop on really quick to say hello?
Of course. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Carmen Gonzalez. I'm a business opportunity specialist at the North Florida District Office. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for all the veterans. We really appreciate you, but also your families. I lived in Japan at a Navy base in Yokosuka for 3 years. And I saw everything there, not just the active military, but also their families. So I want to thank you to you and your families too. Jay?
Thanks, Carmen.
You're welcome.
Jay?
Thank you, everybody. Again, I just want to echo everybody's sentiments in thanking the veterans here today that have sacrificed their time and service to our country. My name is Jay Choi. I'm also a business opportunity specialist here in North Florida. Like Jonelle said, we cover a territory of 43 counties. Our portfolio scans from Orlando all the way down to the Panhandle. So, again, I'd just like to thank everybody for attending today's event. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay and Carmen. So up next, are we going to do the introduction for the attendees, Ron?
So I'll go ahead and introduce Aileen and have her. Yep, thanks. And then we'll do the VBOC.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Natalie. All right, next we have the South Florida District Office Business Opportunity Specialist, Aileen Fernandez. Aileen, if you would like to come on and say a couple words.
Thank you so much, team. Again, echoing everyone, thank you so much to all the veterans on this call, servicemen and the families for all that you do for our country. Very grateful for that. And I am with the South Florida District Office, worn a lot of different hats, new to the BOS team, but grateful to be here with all you this morning. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Aileen. And then later we'll have Amy Perez joining us. She's dropping off her daughter at the moment. So, but I would like to now kind of introduce the Veterans Business Outreach Center representative, Stephen Keith Roberts. He's a VBOC Associate Director and business consultant analyst. Keith brings more than 2 decades of experience in gathering and analyzing facts and figures, presenting information. He managed the development of bids and proposals offering enterprise solutions for government bids and international tenders. Most recently, he has served as a loan specialist for the U.S. Small Business Administration. Keith is also a former small business owner. He served 7 years active duty as a reserve officer in the U.S. Army. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Hospitality Administration Management from Florida State University in Tallahassee, Florida. Without any further ado, Mr. Keith Roberts.
Oh, thank you, Ron. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Good. Well, that was a wonderful introduction. I appreciate that. So I would just add to that 2 of those years that I was working in business development and proposal management, doing tenders and international tenders, was with a Alaskan Native firm. So I have a little experience with the 8A arena. We're just really excited about the program that we're doing here with the Veterans Business Outreach Center. We provide training for individuals who are starting businesses and who want to look to acquire businesses or grow their businesses. When I got out in '86 of the military, there was just nothing like this available. And I had a very successful food product that just did not have the resources to help me take it to the next level. So I did take a position at the Florida Chamber of Commerce for about 6 years, which was very successful, but I wish they'd had something like this when I was first getting out. So I will won't add too much more to that. We'll talk a little bit more in the breakout session, I guess.
Great. Thank you, Keith. I greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, again, welcome. Here's the agenda for today. Okay. So the National Veterans Small Business Week 23 theme is 10 years of celebrating America's vet biz and military spouse business owners. During this week, the SBA district offices and local resource partners celebrate optimistic and a reflective tone while focusing on SBA's history of supporting the military small business community and celebrating National Veterans Small Business Week's 10th anniversary and the long-standing importance of military entrepreneurs to the nation's economy. National Veteran Small Business Week 23 is celebrating the history of military community entrepreneurship with highlighting the breadth of free to low-cost resources SBA and its resource partners offer to veteran service members, including National Guard and Reserve members and military spouse and small business owners locally and nationwide. Lastly, before we get started, let us not forget the men and women who went before us and suffered the ultimate price. At this time, let's take about 15 seconds of silence and recognize our fellow soldiers, sailors, airmen, friends, family members, and fellow brothers and sisters in arms. All right. All right. So what I would like to do now is kind of go through and introduce the 8A veteran-owned small businesses that are here in attendance with us. And how I'd like to kind of go about doing that is based off of ones that are currently here. So what we'll do is kind of go by this list. And what I did is, like when you guys registered, I kind of put your guys' names down in like an order. So, go ahead and just kind of give us a quick elevator pitch, your name, the military service you were in, and, what your business, the name of your business and what it does. Okay, with that, we'll start with 3T Innovations, Inc. Is Sarah on? Okay. All right. Then we'll go to 11 Series Energy, Mac Sasser.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Mac. How are you?
Good, good. I guess so 11 Series Energy. My name's Max Sasser. I'm a U.S. Army infantry combat veteran. I served both in Iraq and Afghanistan. My last deployment was in 2012, and I came back to the States and started working in the energy sector. And it's kind of interesting how everything worked. But in 2020, we restructured our company, and I got rid of my former business partners. And I guess about a year or two later, we got our 8A and SDVOSB, and during our presentation, I'll kind of go through that a little bit. But with 11 series, we go into facilities and design energy conservation measures to reduce a facility's utility budget, and then we also bring the capital to the table, and the energy savings pays for it. And just to kind of give you an idea, we've commissioned 5 divisional headquarters for the FBI, the National Archives building in St. Louis, about 14 or 15 VA facilities across the country. And we're working with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, actually building several EV charging stations for them across the country right now. So I really look forward to sharing some of our success and how we got there and some of our struggles that we've had. And yeah, look forward to it. So we'll see you guys in a bit.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Mac. Appreciate that. Do we have Carl Paramar from Agile IT Synergy on? I know Carl said he might be on. Give him a couple of seconds here. All right. So next is Christopher Riley with Seating. Chris?
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak this morning. I'm humbled by the opportunity. This next year in June will make 40 years that I have been in the architectural, engineering, and construction industry. I've grown up in the industry, and prior to my U.S. Naval service, I was already an electrician apprentice. And from there, I kind of just grew up and had every position that you could think of, from an owner's rep, apprentice, superintendent, and built a very versatile career. So right now, Sadim is a unlimited general and electrical contractor with operations throughout the East Coast market in the electrical industry of 57120 or 15,000 volt kV or replacement services directly from the utility for critical government facilities. And we also do the old fashioned general contracting work. So it could be a boiler plant or any type of modification in the hospitals, mold remediation, you name it, we have built it or done it. I'm looking forward to presenting a different perspective on how we got from where we started to where we are now, and just really appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Great. Hey, thank you for that, Chris. We look forward to you speaking as well. Next, we have Wilson Gilbo from Cognition LLC. Wilson?
Good morning, everyone. It's also a great pleasure for us to participate with you all this morning. My name is Wilson Gilbo with Cognition LLC. I started out having been drafted in 1971, went to Vietnam almost immediately in B-52s as a gunner. Later, got an engineering degree, spent 31 years in the Air Force, fought in every conflict between 71 and 2002. Cognition LLC is a systems engineering, training, construction, and leasing firm, and I'll be speaking more about that later. Thank you very much, Ron.
Great. Thank you, Wilson. We look forward to hearing from you. All right. Next, we have Kristen Grove from the Cybrix Group. Kristen, are you on? Let's see if she's on.
I am on. Thank you
Yay!
for
Hey, Kristen.
reaching out to me. Hey, good. How are you doing?
Good, good, good. Glad to have you.
Good. Thanks. I'm happy to be here. I appreciate you pinging me because somehow I missed the invite first. So I'm glad that you reached out. Again, my name is Kristen Grove. I'm with the Cybrix Group. We've been in the 8A program for about a year now. We do research and development, prototyping, SME support, and program management. Our primary customer is the Special Operations Command down at MacDill. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be here. Prior Air Force. It's been such a long time though since I was in this. So I appreciate everybody on the call, and happy Veterans Day.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining us today. Next, we have Larry Grant from Provera Corporation.
Thanks, Ron. And I just want to thank all my brothers and sisters in arms. Happy Veterans Day in advance to you. The Provera Corporation was formed in 2016. Myself, I'm a 20-year veteran of the Air Force. I feel like probably about 20 years at CENTCOM. It's only 5.5, but it seemed like a lifetime when you get stuck in that place. But it was a great experience. Having said all of this, our company and my two business partners are focused on the national security industry totally, meaning defense and homeland security, as well as focused on the intelligence community and on law enforcement. Thanks, Ron.
Awesome. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. All right, next we've got Tammy Foster Knight with Optional Solutions. Go ahead, Tammy.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, well, hey, I want to say thank you so much for having me on the call. This means a lot to me to be able to communicate openly with my fellow veterans. I'm so sorry, guys. So yes, I'm Dr. Tammy Foster Knight, and I am Optional Solutions LLC's president and CEO. We've been in business for 15 years, coming out of Tampa, Florida. And just a little bit about my background, military background. I was enlisted for 13 years, went from E6 Airman Base, E1 Airman Basic, to Tech Sergeant 6. I commissioned in 2001, and I went from '01 to '04, a major. So as far as the business, we are a healthcare provider of durable medical equipment and supplies and construction worker PPE. And I'm really, really happy to announce that I have my first contract with the FDA. We are providing them evidence. Well, thank you so much. So we're providing them evidence back. So if you think about television, CSI, they go on a crime scene, they use tweezers to pick up items and drop it into an evidence bag. So that's what I won with the federal government, and we're really, really excited. So thank you for having me here.
Great. Thank you, Tammy, for being here. Next, we have Miss Courtney Jackson from Paragon Cyber Solutions. Courtney?
Hi, good morning,
Hey,
everyone.
there
Well,
she is.
congratulations, Tammy. That's amazing. So yeah, I'm Courtney H. Jackson. I'm the founder and CEO of Paragon Cyber Solutions based in Tampa. I am prior Navy. I went in right out of high school and got out and spent maybe over 20 years as a government contractor doing all the things before I decided to jump into entrepreneurship. And actually, I think last time we checked, it's like over 80% of our team members are prior veterans. So we're really proud of that. So as far as Paragon Cyber Solutions, we provide IT and cybersecurity services to the government and commercial entities to help them strengthen their security posture and meet compliance requirements. I'm sure a lot of you have heard cybersecurity maturity model certification, also referred to as CMMC. So we are CMPAO for that. And looking forward to diving into that once the official rulemaking comes up. But thanks again, and I'm looking forward to our upcoming panel shortly and connecting with everyone.
Hey, great. Thank you, Courtney. We look forward to having you on the panel here. So thanks again. All right, next we have Mr. Pat Mack from Pat V. Mack Inc. Pat?
Hey, good morning, everybody. First, shout out to Ron, the best BOS. No offense to the other BOSs on the call, but Ron's my BOS, and he is passionate, and I couldn't ask for a better partner as we begin our 8A journey. Founded PVM after 25 years in Navy. For the other service veterans, appreciate your service, but it's Go Navy all day, every day at PVM. Like Courtney, joined right out of high school, did 25 years in uniform, started out at E1, retired as an 05. I'm born and raised Florida man from St. Petersburg, Florida. Moved the company here from San Diego in 2016. So I'm relatively new, 2018. I'm relatively new to the Tampa Bay community. We got our 8A certification in March after many years of trying. As a firm, we're a digital services company, which means we do all of the 541 series activities, primarily focused at data integration, data science, some custom software developer activity. Company's about 50 people, and we received our first 3 8A awards here last quarter. So as I shared with Ron earlier in the week, the program works, and I'm really blessed and fortunate to be part of it. I look forward to working with everybody on the call. Thanks so much.
Hey, great. Thank you for that, Pat. Greatly appreciate that. And next we have Reginald Gillis with Strategic Defense Solutions. Reginald?
Yes, right. It's Reggie Gillis from Strategic Defense Solutions, or we go usually by SDS. Lots of folks here from Tampa. I'm a retired Army colonel. I retired my last assignment. I was the chief of plans at CENTCOM. We've been in business 17 years and have been in the 8A program 5 years now. Like others, we tried earlier, fortunately stayed through it, and it's been very successful for us. In fact, I just got back late last night from San Diego Silver Strand facility. We're training Navy SEALs and JTAC, or Air Force Air Controller. We do a lot. We are currently supporting 3 federal agencies: DoD, Some of the more senior folks are in and out of the commander's office at CENTCOM. We support SOCOM, obviously. I just talked about training Navy or SEALs. We also support TSA for a very long time. I also have my son and president of the company on the line, has been with us 15 years, and we do TSA tests and evaluation all over the country. And then lastly, we just start doing work for Department of Agriculture. Again, 8A program is, I think we probably quadrupled our revenues within the first 2 years being in the program. So look forward to talking to folks and very happy to be in the program and meeting more people.
Well, great. Hey, appreciate that, Reggie. Thank you so much. And again, thanks for being here. Reggie's been with us, I'm going to say like the last 2 years that we've had this. So yeah, thanks, Reggie. Next, that's not listed on there is Mr. Al Ball with Diversified Professional Solutions. Al, go ahead, my friend. I don't know that we can hear you.
He's muted.
See, I think you're still muted, Al.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
How y'all doing? I'm Al Ball. I was a Fort Bragg baby. I was a jumping spoon. I served in Desert Storm. My company is Diverse Professional Solutions, and we do facility management and IT. So we've been in the program about 2.5 years. So just looking forward to talking to some of y'all and, finding out what I could do for the Department of Defense and other entities. That's all.
Great. Hey, I appreciate it, Al.
All right,
Thanks, man. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any other 8A firms that I did not recognize on here? All right. With that being said, we will transition over into the success stories and lessons learned in the 8A program. One of the things as, these guys go through and kind of talk about their experiences, what I want you to think about is, in the next section after this, we're going to have the breakout sessions, right? And so just kind of keep an eye on, certain speakers that you want to engage in further, to kind of pick their brain and network with, as they're going through talking about their experiences, okay? And we're going to have a total of 3 breakout rooms. The first one will be the government contracting resources, which will provide information on VBOC and their services, as well as other information about the SBA certifications. And that's going to be more geared towards those who are not 8A firms that are interested in, the 8A program, finding out more about the vet cert and government contracting resources. Okay, the next breakout room we're going to have is the 8A Veteran Networking Room, which will have 11 series, Paragon Cyber Solutions and CDEAM Corporation in. And then we'll have the third breakout room with Cognition LLC and Provera Corporation, providing information and feedback based off of their mentor protege agreement and JV agreement experiences. Okay. So with that, what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Carmen to introduce CDEAM.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to introduce, I have the honor to introduce Mr. Christopher Riley. He is the chairman and president of CDEAM Corporation, and it was founded in 2017. The company is 8A certified, and he also is a service disabled veteran. CDEAM is a construction manager, unlimited general and electrical prime contractor with operations throughout the East Coast. Mr. Riley, he's the president and chairman, and he is a United States Navy veteran. He is certified unlimited general and electrical contractor. He has an MBA, and he has 40 years of experience in architectural engineering and construction. Mr. Riley is married, has 3 children and a grandson that is 3 years old. Mr. Riley, the floor is yours.
And good morning, everyone. Again, I am humbled by the opportunity to speak. One thing I want everyone to notice, we are the only general and electrical contracting firm that is participating this morning. Most of the firms are in the technology arena, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to pursue the 8A program. When I started the company, I just had the goal of doing electrical work and construction work. It's a very versatile industry. I also have a e-commerce degree because when IT was booming, I was just coming up professionally in the industry. But I did not make that transition to where all of you are right now. I decided to stay with my chosen industry of the architectural engineering construction industry because all of you will need data centers and or clean power and or facilities that can accommodate the ever-changing industry and demands from UPS systems to emergency generators. So I saw a unique opportunity. We've only been certified about 4.5 months now. And that's even after the Supreme Court decision. We went through that process and were recertified and confirmed. The most important thing that we have done, we've built past performance. I heard horror stories and I've seen firms throughout my career that joined the 8A program, but were not ready for the waterfall of opportunities that were going to come. And because of that, they were not able to leverage all of the opportunities and what the 8A program can do for a firm. So for us, we decided to build our past performance and also our performance and payment bonding capacity. I'm not sure how the technology firms operate, but every project that we perform, we have to provide a guarantee. And every time we speak to a contracting officer, their first question is, do you have past performance? Their second question is, do you have payment and performance bonding? So we didn't focus on a website. Yes, we had a capability statement, but we needed to truly focus on building our skills and infrastructure of the company so that when we were asked those questions, we could say, yes, we have a standalone $1 million project. We have a standalone $4 million project. Yes, we can handle a $10 million project. And I'm very grateful and humbled that within the 6-year period, we now have a $30 million single project bonding capacity limit. That means that we do not have to partner with the much larger firms. And I think that's critical because there are times where these firms may or may not want to actually assist a competitor to grow. So you have to be careful when it comes time for joint venturing or mentor-protege relationships. Again, we started very humble. In 2017, our first contract was $18,000. And my goal was to double the sales and revenue every single year. And we have been able to do that to the point where we are approaching 20 million in revenues without the 8A, let's say, program really kicked in yet. So I really truly can see how our firm can actually grow to that $250 million or $500 million mark. The best part of this, throughout my whole entire journey for Sedin, we have smaller companies that we are mentoring and bringing up. So as we grow, we are bringing up those sub-consultants and subcontracting firms as a ready-made team rather than having to go out and get unknown entities. So CDEAM is a unique name. CDEAM stands for Construction, Development, E plus IoT because it's the Internet of Things, and of course, Equity and Management. Nothing can occur without the power being on. I believe that we are the backbone of the industry, of the country, and the economic engine. If power's off, nothing works. So with the 8A program, we are looking forward to being able to grow our firm, grow our capabilities nationwide and eventually worldwide. I'm also a master apprenticeship instructor because it's very important to give back to those in our industry to create the next generation. And in doing so, it keeps us sharp. It keeps us on point. with the newest processes and procedures. It's all about maintaining a robust, competitive level. So we try to compete with ourselves and not so much worry about what other companies are doing because they're different than us. We look at what we are doing and what works for us. I'd like to open up the floor if there's any questions or concerns of the statements we've made so far, because again, we see that we're the only general electrical contractor here on the table. That's Althea.
Yes, hi, thank you so much. I am intrigued by your interest in raising up the next generation of folks who work in the industry. That is something that we're hearing is not available to your industry, that the trades are understaffed, folks are underqualified. I was kind of curious if you could mention or not, you could just contact me later, about what you're seeing, what you're doing about that to raise up those young people who would be interested in the trades.
That is an amazing, amazing statement and question. Yes, I would love to answer that for you. I maintain a relationship. There's 24 hours in a day, so I work 16 of them. If you YouTube Christopher Riley, you'll see videos of some of my apprenticeship students. You'll see CBS4 Miami Mentoring Matters, where we are actually going into the communities to bring in young people into our industry. It's very, very important. The reason why there is such a demand for personnel in the construction industry, it's because great wages can be made in the technology industry. So you had a lot of people and still have a lot of people who do not want to work outside in the heat or outside in the cold. So they have transitioned to the IT sector for the last 12 to 15 years. But they have forgotten the importance of this industry of, let's just say, construction and facilities maintenance. This is the backbone for every single industry because we must have facilities that are healthy for people to work in. We must have it in an efficient manner, correct lighting for our health. So people chose the high wages and let's just say the fanfare and fuss of the IT industry. And I was right there with them because remember, I have an e-commerce degree. And that was before Amazon came out. I was learning e-commerce in that whole IT world. The numbers of personnel that are available to work with the baby boomer generation have gone down. So you had a lot of people leaving many industries, but the construction industry especially. So what we do, we have engaged high schools, middle schools, to bring back old programs, sort of like BOCES, where it's a multi-trade or multifaceted type program where the kids go to school half the day and the other half of the day they can actually learn a trade. So they're now called CTE programs, construction technology programs. These programs have really brought a lot of individuals to our industry because not everybody's college material. And the construction apprenticeship programs are actually the other four-year degree because once you complete a four-year apprenticeship program, you can take that transcript and go to a community college and receive an AS degree. So it's a perfect scenario, especially for low-income families, where a company will sponsor the students to go to school for 4 years because the electrical industry is heavy-duty electrical theory, which you have to understand trigonometry, geometry, you have to understand physics, and of course, energy, the flow of electrons. That actually could qualify for your first 2 years of an electrical engineering degree. But it's free because the companies sponsor you and pay for that while you are earning a very, very livable wage with guaranteed raises every year. So that's what the industry as a whole is doing. You know, the construction industry and apprenticeship training goes back to the beginning of time and manpower. This is actually how everyone in the world used to learn the trades. It's through an apprenticeship program. This is not new. But again, it's the competition of the industries. But what is happening now, and I think it's over the last 4 years, as technology has advanced, the things that programmers and software developers used to have to do, The actual software and systems can do it themselves. So now they're finding themselves, oh, shoot, what are we going to do? We need to have a position or a job. Technology hasn't eliminated or reduced what people do in construction. It has made it so much fun. So, for example, when I started in this industry in 1984, we would have to lay out batter boards and strings to come out with the corners of the building in order to, I see a big smile there, but you know what I'm talking about. Now we have a device called the total station, which there's no thinking that's needed. It's pretty much a probe with a point. You walk the site, you stick it in the ground, you get a satellite produced, let's say, mark, and that's how you lay out the buildings now. Or if you're doing a high-rise building, that's how you can lay out the building. And everybody forgot about the batter boards. Everybody forgot how to use a tape measure, because now you can use your cell phone and point the camera, you got your measurements. So it's actually really fun. I'm 52 now. I've been in the industry since 16 and a half. And when I'm teaching the apprentices, they only know the new way. They don't know the old way. But they are really seeing that working with your hands brings you dignity. Working with your hands, it really helps you to have self-respect. The apprenticeship programs are a very safe place for individuals to grow emotionally, professionally, and grow into capable adults. And everyone in construction is a husband, is a wife, is a brother, uncle, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a lot of fun and there's a lot of pleasure in seeing the great, great facilities we build from scratch. So I hope that kind of touches and answers your question, because I'm very passionate about it. I also am an OSHA 500, 510 train the trainer certified individual. So that means I actually train the trainers that issue the OSHA 10 and 30 cards. So wherever we
Thank
can
you.
go. Yes, you're
Well,
welcome. You're welcome.
thank you for answering that so, passionately. It's something I'm very interested in, and I just on the tail end of what you said, you see, this is what, that new technology that you're engaged in is what the federal government wants out of small businesses, right? And why we're so focused on making sure that opportunities are available to small businesses, because innovations are often either initiated by small business or adopted early by small businesses. And that is energy that we want coming into the federal space to benefit not only federal workers, right, but also the American people. So I see someone else's hand is up, Ron, Mr.
Yeah,
Roberts.
looks like Mr. Roberts. Go ahead, Stephen.
Well, thank you so much. I just want to echo everything you said about the importance of the STEM curriculum in schools.
Yes.
And getting people spun up and understanding that. One of the things that got me into the food business was when I got out of the military, active duty. I was starting a food business. I was watching a program, Tony Brown, that was on public television, and it was about Booker T. Washington and his famous speech about cast down your buckets where you are and drink water. And it was just a profound moment for me. And so I looked out my front door and I saw all these pecan orchards. and that's where I really started my business from. But I do want to ask a question just to follow up on what you had talked about with your business. The getting a business past performance and capability statement, that seems to be one of the most difficult moments for people who are starting out. Could you speak to a little bit about that point? Once you get up and going and you got past performance and you've got more capabilities, could you talk a little bit about that transition?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm a little different, because I know we needed a capability statement and I know we needed past performance, and I actually ignored it for the first couple of years. If someone said, Chris, do you have your capability statement? I said, yes, I sure do, but it's not adequate to present because we're building our past performance right now. To this day, we do not have a fully functioning website, and I'm okay with that because I didn't want to put ourselves out there until we had something to offer that was proven, confirmed, and confirmed and proven again. So there are some teams that the first thing they do, I actually am mentoring a group in Florida right now. They are service disabled veteran woman-owned company. They look perfect and golden on paper. They have all the certifications, but they haven't had their first project in 2 years. And one of the things I've told them, I said, ladies, gentlemen, you're focusing on the website, you're focusing on your actual capability statement, but you don't have something tangible that a contracting officer can hold on to say, well, we're not going to be the first guinea pig. I'm not going to jeopardize my career and give you a job and you screw up and then I have to deal with that. They don't look at it from that perspective. So this is where my tenure in the industry, and I love mentoring because it helps me too, but a lot of consultants, especially service-able veteran 8A consultants, will tell you, oh, you have to have your capability statement and your executive summary, but you have to have past performance. You have to start someplace. And even if that's a $500 service call or a $2,000 project, or maybe they take a $20,000 project and divide it up into $2,000 increments because that's what their credit card can actually process, you have to start building that past performance. And once you build it, you keep the momentum. I think the most important thing the 8A companies and teams and veterans need, it's perseverance, it's believing in themselves, because every no that they hear is actually a step towards the yes that they want to receive. And if they look at it like that, they'll accept all the no's and want more no's because it's actually sharpening you to know exactly where you need to go and what you're able to do. And once you start, and you get past performance, the floodgates literally open. So I hope that answers the question for you. You have to keep it simple.
It does, and I just think that there's a lot of experience and skills that can be translated in a past performance that you've acquired in the military, right? And what I try to work with is with veterans is translating those into a past performance, a capability statement, so that people can say, yes, this is someone that is worth taking a bet on.
And actually,
I
want to. I'm sorry, I just wanted to say this real quick. Mike Sasser just linked with me on LinkedIn, and this is what it's about. It's about finding a partner that you can maybe do a little piece of a project, build some past performance, get a little experience, and then you could venture off into your own. You know, we're both established firms, but that doesn't mean we can't collaborate to get a bigger project that will satisfy the needs and the hunger for both companies. And that's what it's truly about. And my overall strategy as an 8A firm is not to joint venture or become a mentor protege with a Gilbane or a Turner or one of these gigantic companies. Because at the end of the day, if you were the size of a Gilbane or Turner, would you want to actually build your competitor? They need our 8A certifications. They need our service disabled veteran status to win the projects. But we lose out in terms of experience, profit, and revenue, which is the foundation for any company to have a very, let's say, robust future. If you can build it on your own and have the patience, it will pay off much better in years 6 to 10 than just starting a company and partnering with them, because you're not really honing your own skills and your own process and perspective to do the work you want to do. So I really truly hope this helps, because again, we're looking from a different perspective as a GC and electrical company. The technology companies that are here, it's amazing. And most forums that I go into, everyone is in the technology industry. And I'm usually the only one that's that old school general electrical contractor, but I'm okay with that because our worlds meet, and when they meet, it's a lot of fun.
Well, hey, Mr. Riley, this is Mac Sasser. I have a quick question. So what we go, so we're actually an energy centric general contractor. So we kind of actually swim in the same lanes quite a bit, but in different lanes. So I go out and we'll do the design, engineering, project management, QA, QC, safety, procurement. But then we also we'll find local electrical contractors to implement the work. And lots of times the electrical contractor will also do paving, concrete, and a couple of the other trades. Do you have traveling? What's your footprint? Do you go across the country? Or are you just basically in Florida?
I always say we travel where we feel safe. So we will go anywhere in the world as long as we believe that the client is going to treat us fairly. We will go anywhere. So for example, with the work that you've just presented and what we do, there are times where we are in facilities and they need your services. We can call you and collaborate like that. And then on the other hand, we are actually installing, and we also have design build capability. We have a team called our construction committee, and that consists of architect, structural engineer, mechanical, electrical engineer, because a lot of times as the installing contractor, we find unforeseen conditions or things that are not designed properly. So by having that expertise in-house, we actually work closely with the engineers of record to produce a good product for the client where the client's budget is met. So rather than going for change orders or extras, we will renegotiate the specified work. And the clients love that, because contracting officers in our world, they don't want change orders. They want the project built and the time and the budget that was originally planned. So if we can show them how we can do that, it proves our expertise, it proves our skill set, and it gives the contracting officers that credibility with us to do more work. So Mark, we will go anywhere you will treat us fairly. And we will bring along any of the other teams that are here, because I put out there in the chat, please, can we have a contact list? One of the examples, I know I'm talking a lot, but Northport, Long Island, the VA Medical Center in Northport, Long Island, we've been there for 2 years. There is a project that's being designed right now to upgrade and replace and put in place the infrastructure for the My Health eVet system. They do not have the fiber optic Cat5 cabling computer network, nor do they have the clean power that's needed. So we're talking of almost $150 million program to increase and solidify and lock down the power, then put new infrastructure in for the computer network throughout this facility. That's the type of information that's needed. I always say, if you're looking for an opportunity or capture an opportunity when it's advertised, you're too late. You need to know about the opportunities as they're being developed. And it's okay for competition. You know, as long as everyone is fair and no one's racing to the bottom, it's a good thing.
No, great. Hey, those are all great points, guys. And you know, one of the things I would say is, like, save some of this for the breakout sessions. So, you know, keep that in mind. And Mr. Riley, thank you for all the great information. And
You're welcome.
you know, I mean that, you know, you're 100% on target. And you know, I think, you know, one of the things with a lot of us being military, right, is we're not afraid to get down in the dirt to make things happen. And that's, you know, exactly what you're talking about, you know, finding those individuals to come and work for your companies, you know, or your firms, especially construction. You know, it is hard to find blue collar work out there. You know, my father, he was an insulator, and, you know, he would come home from work just like exhausted and, you know, completely dirty from being in the boiler rooms and everything. So, yeah, it's not easy. But I mean, you know, the thing with that is you're working with your hands, and the fact that, you know, when you're working with your hands, you're feeling a self accomplishment to, you know, contribute to something greater. And eventually those trades, like you were talking about, can lead into opening those small businesses, you know, down the road. And that's what a lot of these young entrepreneur, you know, young individuals coming in need to realize, that, you know, that can be an opportunity down the road. So with that, I'd like to go, you know, bring up our next panelist, Mr. Wilson Gilbo. If Jay would like to come on and introduce him.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Chris, for that great presentation. Now, I am delighted and honored to introduce to you 2 members of our 8A firm in the North Florida District Office, Cognition LLC. The first gentleman I'm going to introduce to you today is Mr. Wilson Gilbo. He is the founding member, CEO, president of Cognition LLC, a government and industry consulting company specializing in operational systems and technical architectures in advanced systems engineering. Mr. Wilbeau is a former colonel in the United States Air Force. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in engineering from Wayland Baptist University, a master's degree in political science, international relations from the University of Oklahoma. Mr. Gilboa has over 25 years of experience in research, development, test, and evaluation and systems engineering. During and after a distinguished career in the U.S. Air Force, Mr. Gilboa honed his extensive technical and leadership skills conducting R&D on high-energy lasers, electro-optical systems for both atmospheric and exo-atmospheric applications, synthetic aperture radar designs, space-based radar, and information technology. As a senior U.S. negotiator for technical applications, he designed and fielded a ubiquitous communications network with embedded multi-level security to all 27 partnership for peace nations. This was, and in some cases still is, the only reliable mode of advanced communications available to some partner nations. Mr. Gilboa was the program director for the acquisition of the Multi-Sensor Command and Control Aircraft, E-10. He and his development team researched and developed a shared multi-intelligence collaborative database with synchronized and geospatial indexed distributed updates. We also have joining us, I'm not sure if Clint is on, but Clint Wallace is the senior vice president of Cognition LLC. Mr. Wallace's 29-year military career was a comprehensive blend of transformational leadership, combat operations acumen, and technology enterprise expertise. Colonel Wallace was also a seasoned battle commander who successfully led joint coalition and allied forces. Colonel Wallace also served on the staff of the Secretary of Defense as a military assisting leading developmental and operational test and evaluation directorates joint initiatives. He also developed and provided lectures specifically tailored for program managers and technical managers at DoD's Corporate Defense Acquisitions University. Colonel Wallace earned a Bachelor of Science degree in political science from Tuskegee University and is a distinguished graduate of its famed Air Force ROTC program. He earned a master's degree in public administration from Oklahoma State University and has served the DoD, EHS, and FEMA professional certifications to his credit. So now I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Wilson Gilboa of Cognition LLC.
I have a quick question before you. How does a Sooner and a cowboy work together? That's like Bedlam.
I will tell you that Bedlam happens tomorrow here in Oklahoma. And I haven't spoken with my good friend, Colonel Clint Wallace, in the last couple of days because I'm not quite sure which words might come out of my mouth concerning Bedlam. So we've avoided a conversation. But good observation. I'm
Boomer. Boomer.
Sooner. I'm a coon ass from Lafayette, Louisiana. I was drafted in 1971. I did not choose to go to the Army and quickly ran down and joined the Air Force, was trained as a B-52 gunner and almost immediately shipped out and we were flying missions in Vietnam. That exposure was extremely important to me because one, the gun system on a B-52 was extremely technical in nature, in addition to being highly lethal. That technical background I received going through 10 months of training opened my eyes to an awful lot with respect to engineering. When we were allowed to come home in 1973, I began college and was selected in the AECP program to get an engineering degree, all while serving as a staff sergeant. Received the commission, spent 31 years in, and as my good friend Jay Choi so eloquently mentioned, my background is extremely technical in nature with a focus on engineering. I commanded 3 organizations in the Air Force, ending with a wing equivalent organization, and I am extremely humbled, believe me, to be here speaking with each of you today and to each of you. Cognition LLC was formed by 5 senior officers. I dare to say that can be a very chancy enterprise. However, all 5 of us in 2002 had been very good friends for over 25 years. And that association has continued. The level of trust is off the chart amongst the 5 of us. And that has been our strength and the hallmark of our success. Our early programs were quite small and technology oriented, software development oriented, and systems engineering oriented with the United States Air Force and the Navy. We applied for, but were not selected early on for the 8A program, principally because of the net worth restrictions. But later, about 8 years later, we were accepted into the 8A program. And I must say, it has been a fantastic ride for us. We're now in our last year in the 8A program. We developed, I got to tell you, I hope folks were taking notes when Chris Riley was speaking. He was extremely insightful, particularly when it came to the question of past performance. We undertook a project that, having been the acquisition executive for the MC2A program before I retired, I had an enormous number of subcontractors and OEMs working on my team to develop this fantastic new aircraft. It is the replacement for AWACS. What I saw and what I learned was that the small businesses who came to the table almost always had the best ideas, the best solutions. But unfortunately, they did not have access, clear access. And much of that access was blocked by the OEMs. The Air Force developed a reach down program to give those small companies access. And those that were most successful were those early 8A member companies who paid close attention to the question of developing their past performance with actual work that could be proven. And when the door was opened to those 8A firms, Katie barred the door. They were fantastic. Many of them were bought up really quick by the OEMs because of their innovation and their speed to solutions. So having that as a background before I retired became critical, because one of the first projects that we launched was with the United States Army to develop a capability called TRENDS. It was a threat recognition capability that the Army sorely needed in Iraq and Afghanistan. Software, largely software-based, artificial intelligence-based. We developed the artificial intelligence kernels that became a part of and embedded in each of the 5 major modules. We brought that through DARPA to the Army, and the Army paid us a lot of money to field those capabilities. I say that to say this: that one project gave us hardware, software, firmware, program management, and I can name 10 other areas of past performance that became indispensable as we moved forward. And as Chris mentioned, we weren't paying a lot of attention to websites and capability statements because we didn't have a whole lot to put in them. As we developed past performance, we developed the other concomitant activities and sites and documents. When we finally were accepted in the 8A program, we were a successful company. We basically had to move forward without the SBA initially, but with the help of my good friend Jay, we did get accepted. And in the first 2 years of acceptance, we doubled and tripled our income. And as I stated, we were successful prior to that. In addition to all of the 8A access, Jay worked with us to give us a good understanding of the mentor-protege program and the joint venture program. And I'll talk more about that during the breakout sessions. We not only concentrated on developing our 8A bona fides, we worked with other organizations outside of the Department of Defense to gain a better understanding of how we could help. And one area that became extremely important to us was construction and leasing within the Veterans Administration. That is an area where we veterans do not participate in nearly enough. We did work for the VA initially on the supply chain side of the house. And through that work, we understood a great need on the construction and leasing side of the house, to the extent that we became one of their preferred vendors for developing properties and creating CBOX or community-based outreach patients locations throughout Oklahoma, North Texas. That area soon became one of our most profitable areas alongside our 8A activity. As I stated, and you can probably do the math, having been drafted in 1971, and all of my partners being senior officers, we were kind of long in the tooth when we got our 8A. We are still yet longer in the tooth, and our exit strategy from the 8A program will not be the standard strategy because of the age of all of us. But we believe that that exit strategy is going to work very well for all of us. And I would like to invite many of you to become more interested in the leasing program that GSA has, because GSA, General Services Administration, owns all of the property that's not owned by the military services throughout this country. And the VA is one of the largest leasers of property. And the idea is to put yourself in a position to purchase those properties, retrofit those properties to the VA's site plans, and lease those properties for 10, 15, or 20 years. Cognition LLC has 20-year leases on a number of properties. And with that, I'll open it up for questions if that's okay with Jay.
I have a quick question, or it's not a quick question. So I'm extremely familiar with the VA leases. I've worked with the Mulaski Group, NLCA, Colliers, and Boyd Watterson. They actually own the most federal buildings in the country, and I go in and do all their energy projects for them, which is really interesting because it was very difficult at first. It took us a couple years to kind of crack that code. What size do you? What size ranges are your leases? Like the V box, are they 50,000 square feet up to 150? How many square feet are they typically?
No, they're just the opposite. They're all below 50,000 feet.
Okay.
50,000
property? How many collective square feet do you own?
About 110.
Okay. Got it.
And there's enormous room in that space. Enormous room.
Yeah, because there's everybody that's doing it. There's only a couple, like 3 veteran-owned businesses in the country right now that are actually doing the developing because they can't afford it. You gotta raise the capital for it, do the development, and then it takes like 2 or 3 years just to get to that point before you break ground. That's really interesting. I'm happy to hear that another veteran-owned business is going out there doing this. And then, are you having to compete for it, or are you getting it sole sourced?
No, we are competing, but we're competing where our SDVOSB can be activated. And so I'm competing against other disabled veteran organizations. Every now and then they'll put one out on the 8A side of the house as well. So lots of room there.
Does that mean?
Go ahead, please.
I was just going to ask, does that mean that if there's more of us coming to the table, they would look to do more set-asides or potentially create the path or clear the path for us to be much more successful in that space?
Absolutely, Chris. Absolutely.
When you say us, though, do you mean like veteran-owned businesses or 8As? Because if there's enough veteran-owned businesses, they have to abide by the Kingdom Ware Act.
That's correct. But next in line are the 8As. And they currently do not have a sufficient number of disabled veteran organizations or veteran-owned organizations to compete for the larger. And when I say larger C-box and facilities, I'm talking about anything over 5,000 square feet. And so 15, 20, 25,000 square feet, that's a very pricey and time-consuming building to erect, retrofit, or renovate. And it takes quite a bit of time. And as Chris mentioned earlier, in the GC business, everything you do has to be bonded. And so you must build your bond capacity at the same time. And that keeps a lot of small businesses out of that business, unfortunately.
I would like to ask you the question, would you be interested in collaborating? When I say us, all of us that are on this call and this program this morning, I would love to assist and learn. I don't know anything about that world, but we do have a respectable performance and payment bond line that can be increased. If you're interested, I'm interested.
Yeah, Cognition is interested in mentoring as often and as many companies as are interested in doing so.
Thank you. Can you please put your information in the chat?
Absolutely.
It looks like we have another question, Mr. Reggie Gillis. Go ahead, Reggie.
Yeah, gentlemen, I apologize. I'm not going to be in the breakout session. My son will be, because I had a previous commitment to be somewhere at noon before I got this invitation. But both gentlemen talked about something that I want to make a point that I have not heard. The whole thing about past performance, again, we were fortunate. We were in business 12 years before we went into the 8A program. But the past performance, it's one thing to say it has to be documented, but specifically, if CPARS is available to that contract or anything associated with it, it's not only the contractor, but the contractor like us that have to push to ensure those things occur, or else you'll find yourself having done great work, but not necessarily been adequately acknowledged. And when I say that, for us, we've gotten great evaluations and then looked at them and reviewed them and then went back and forth with the evaluators to ensure it said the things we wanted to say in the right places to clearly acknowledge those things. And that has been priceless in other ventures later. So I would encourage you to ensure that that past performance is documented properly, beyond simply you having that information to share with others, but actually the government has acknowledged it as well.
Absolutely.
Wow. Hey, gentlemen, Miss William, Wilson, that was incredible. The priceless, experience and guidance that you just shared is, it's unfathomable, what you've experienced and, what you've provided us today. And for those of you, who still have questions to ask Mr. Wilson and Chris, keep in mind, we've got these breakout sessions coming up here. So write those down so you guys can pick their brains and, keep this conversation going. Again, sir, thank you so much. Such a pleasure sharing your time and experience with us, Wilson.
Thank you.
So thank you. Next up, we have Ms. Courtney Jackson with Paragon Cyber Solutions. Ms. Courtney Jackson is the award-winning founder and CEO of Paragon Cyber Solutions, LLC, and an 8A woman minority veteran-owned small business based in Tampa, Florida. Ms. Jackson has more than 20 years of certified hands-on experience in information technology, government agencies, technology encompassing both executive leadership and entrepreneurship. Through her work, she helps government agencies and commercial companies protect the integrity of their business operations through specialized cybersecurity and risk management solutions. Without any further ado, Ms. Courtney Jackson.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and good morning, everyone. So it seems a hot topic this morning has been past performance. So I'd like to share, kind of how I gained past performance in my company, and hopefully that'll resonate or help someone. So a lot of my growth has been organic with Paragon. I started the business after 20 plus years as a government consultant or contractor, supporting commercial companies. It's a lot easier to break into the commercial market than the government. And, in parallel, I worked on the small business certifications. I started out as a single consultant, no executive team, no partners, no investors. And as I built up the commercial side of the business, I networked a lot, just seeking opportunities to get that first break in the government contracting under Paragon, versus the work I had as myself as a contractor. So a couple years ago, through a relationship, I was introduced to a prime contractor. We had a sit-down meeting. It was actually me and three other gentlemen, round robin. They were firing away questions, kind of asking about my experience, about company, and kind of my growth and everything that I aspired to do. So SOCOM was a big target for me. We're based in Tampa, and they're based here. So they had a really big contract at SOCOM. And one of the areas that we specialize in is risk management framework. So they needed some help. And they didn't really have anything like a direct billet they could put me into, but they said, okay, we can bring you on as a consultant as a 2-month surge support effort. There are no guarantees it's going to turn into anything further. It's really up to you. But I took it and ran with it. I'm like, hey, this is my opportunity to get my foot in the door, get familiar with this customer. And fortunately, within that 2-month time frame, I hit a major milestone for the customer. So that single, 2-month surge support effort turned into one full-time billet. So while I'm there performing in that role myself, I identified gaps and opportunities to provide additional support, things that they hadn't really thought about. I'm like, I really think you need help in this area, this area. And after several months, it wasn't easy, but I did put together, a slide deck and kind of all the facts and why they needed the help and what the benefit would be to them. So after several months, I did receive a couple more billets on that same contract that I was initially just there on 2-month surge support. That same prime put me in for a facility clearance for our company. So once that came through, that shifted to my first subcontract at SOCOM. And one of the contracts that I worked on, in addition to that, that prime gave me a second contract. And that contract was coming up for recompete at the end of that year. It was 8A, but they weren't going to be able to recompete it because they outgrew that. So that made me a prime candidate. And the prime at the time put me up against another sub that was on the contract, sent that to the Corps, let them make a decision. We prevailed. That was our first direct 8A award, and that was through SOCOM. And one thing I want to say, people told me it was too early to pursue my 8A, because I was just getting into government contracting. But if I didn't have my 8A at that time, when that opportunity arose, I would have never had that direct award. So I think it's really up to you to determine, the best timing for yourself. But I'm a very proactive thinker. So I'm really glad that the SBA office supported me and I was able to get my 8A in time to get that first direct award. And now we have 4 contracts at SOCOM just from that 2-month effort. And then in addition to that, we have 2 contracts at Space Force now.
Yay!
And I'm not alone anymore. I'm not alone anymore. Like I told you, I started this myself. Now I have a team, and we're pursuing things. We're doing capture and things like that. But in terms, kind of going back to the past performance, again, that was my experience. But I just needed that one opportunity to get in with the customer. And I knew I could have hired someone in there, but I'm like, no one's going to represent my company as well as me. So I didn't prefer to be in the skiff every day, but I saw the big picture. So went in there and it really turned out well. So we're approaching our 2-year mark in the 8A program. Since I went full time into the business a couple years ago, we have at minimum doubled our revenue every year. And we're working several other opportunities. And I mentioned I have some resources. So Ron, hopefully you'll be getting some contacts soon for some new work. But
That's
at
right.
this
That's
point, we're
right.
just working on sustainable growth and further leveraging the 8A program for continued success. So I hope that was helpful for past performance. Are there any questions, or did you want to wait till the breakout?
Are you
I
doing
know we're running through.
CMMC as well for small businesses and large businesses?
Absolutely. We are an authorized C3 PAO.
Maybe get a 8A SDVSB brother-in-law hookup.
Oh, I got you, Matt. Yes. Reach out. We're still waiting for the official rulemaking like everyone, but there are definitely some things companies should be doing to prepare. So if anyone has questions about that, if you're on this call, you're going to need it. So feel free to reach out, about that offline. But thank you. I hope that was helpful.
Chris, go ahead. You got something?
I was just going to say, please include me also.
Okay, Chris. All right.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations
back
on your
to you.
awards. That's awesome. That's fun, huh?
Thank you. Yes. Hey, sometimes you just got to get in there and do it yourself. I told you, just that one opportunity, that's all it took. Are there any other questions? All right, well, back over to you, Ron. And thank you so much for your support in the SBA office. Everyone I've worked with has been amazing. So thank you so much.
I do have a
Absolutely.
quick question. I have
Yeah,
a
go
quick
ahead.
question before moving on, if you don't mind. What was your experience like getting into SOCOM? Because, like, yeah, I'd like to hear it from beginning to end, like your steps you took to get there.
Whew. Yeah, I think the consensus is tough place to crack, right? It's relationship driven. I think like a lot of this is, right? If I didn't know someone that knew the prime that said, hey, I got someone that you should talk to, I don't know that I'd be there today, honestly. I mean, I went to they have the small business roundtables and things like that. But I really think you have to know someone and get the right introduction. The small business office is very responsive. So I will say that. But yeah, really, it was just that initial, the 2-month effort. The good thing is when I got in the door that way, it gave me, direct access to the site. So I was there every day with the customer. So I was able to kind of do some BD and capture from inside the walls, so that was my experience at least.
If I can interject, this is Reggie Gillis again. Ironically, I started my company exact same way. I started as an individual, as working under a contractor at SOCOM, and then convinced them that the next effort would need to be the company, not me, as an independent consultant. And I would reiterate the same things for there, and SOCOM same way really. If you don't know someone to introduce you, and there's plenty of ways and venues. They have breakfasts, AFCEA, all those other organizations, NDAA, or all those folks, the SOCOM acquisition office has breakfasts. If you just show up and be at those places and make sure you're visible, then people know who you are and what you're about. And then potentially, as always, usually it starts with a subcontract and then work your way into potentially prime contracts.
I agree 100% with that. Another organization, so I'm the vice president for Women in Defense of Greater Tampa Bay. So a lot of SOCOM personnel come to our events. So if you're local and you're not attending that, Reggie's mentioned, being visible. So that's really a good way to kind of get in with some people as well.
Did you ever come to WID in the Space Coast?
No, I haven't been outside of WID here. I haven't. We have to get together though, Mac.
I know we've been talking about it for a while,
I
but I
know.
think we just both get busy.
Are there any other questions? Okay, well, I will turn it back over to you, Ron. Thank you.
All right. Hey, thanks again, Courtney. Appreciate the testimony and the experience and the guidance. One of the things that I've noticed about the veteran-owned 8A firms, right? Not only in my portfolio, but having listened to the testimonies of Chris and Wilson, is that you guys have a plan coming into the 8A program, and you've got the experience. And, as soon as you guys come in, you are maximizing that time. And, Pat Mack and some of the other guys, you guys know the left and right boundaries of the program. And I mean, that's what makes you guys so lethal once you get in, is knowing the left and right limits of the program and just maximizing your time and the resources and what's available to you. So continue to keep that up, guys. I just love, like, one of the big things that's super important is our relationship, that we have as BOSs with the firm owners themselves, in that, continuous dialogue, that I don't have to sit here and worry, hey, am I bothering, Pat, if I have to call him to ask a question, or Courtney, you guys, we just pick up the phone or email, and we just have a regular conversation back. And that's the way the conversation, I think that's the way the relationship should be. It should just be so mutual. So, thank you for that, guys. Next up, we have Mr. Mac Sasser. Of 11 Series Energy. Mac is the president and owner and founder of 11 Series Energy. Mac restructured 11 Series the last quarter of 2020, and since then he's tripled revenues year after year. Mac received his service disabled veteran-owned small business and SBA certs in August of 2021, and Mac's second year of the 8A program, he received three sole source direct awards totaling $2.2 million, and is on track to receive 2 more offer letters, adding more than $4.5 million to the $2.2 million in contracts. In 2022, Mac received the Veteran Business Owner of the Year Award for the South Florida District Office, along with the entire state of Florida. All right, without any further ado, Mac, take it away.
Yeah, so I'll try to keep it kind of quick because I want to get in these breakout sessions. But man, what an amazing panel! I'm actually really humbled to be here. Everybody has so much good wisdom and success, and a couple of you folks, I'd like to sit down and kind of work with you guys as mentors. If you guys would mentor me, and then a couple of folks we'd like to collaborate, right? Because I think we have our networks and we can pull it all together. And Colonel Brunner and Mama Althea, only bone I have to pick with you guys is why don't we get the South Florida District to fund an in-person meeting? Or I think all of us will pull it all together, because I think if we all got together, it would probably, in person, we might be able to grow each other's businesses.
Hey, I'll sponsor it. Not the whole thing, but I'll sponsor it.
Let's do it.
And Mac,
I'll throw some.
I don't think we need anybody to help us. That's something we can take on our own and just get it done.
Okay, I got 5 on it. So, whew, a lot. You guys have touched on a lot of stuff that I was going to go over. So I'd like to kind of switch it a little bit. So when we knew we were coming in to get our 8A, when I knew I was going to get my 8A, I was a partner with another company, and it was kind of going sideways anyhow. So what I did in that partnership, instead of the partnership paying me, I created 11 Series Energy, and I would go out, do project development, do all my different business development. I would do some project management, and then I had the company that I had a partnership in pay my firm. And it was going pretty sideways towards the end. So we just restructured. I broke off from them and just went 100% as my own person without any partners. So I own 100% equity, no debt, no loans, and hadn't looked back. It was tough because I didn't want to liquidate. I didn't want to give up any equity. I didn't want to take out any debt. So the interesting thing about it is, if you guys have heard of Leidos or SAIC, over the last several years, I would go in and develop business, and then I would ask them to come in and be my prime contractor, and they would be our prime contractor, and I'd be the super sub. And collectively, I've gotten them selected for over $30 million in business. And then there was Energy Systems Group, who was another like Fortune 200, 300 company at the time. I got them selected for $8 million in business. So when I broke off completely on my own, the whole plan was not to have partners and not to take out any debt. And I was talking to both those companies, and they said, Mac, we're so excited you're going off on your own. What can we do to help? And I said, man, if you guys could give me like a marketing agreement or a business development agreement, I'll business develop, we'll do the same thing, and then I'll be the super sub on these projects. And they're like, done. So it was, I got kind of lucky there. I wish I'd have thought of that like 20 years ago instead of borrowing money from investors all the time, because they'd always own a chunk of our company. And so I had about $18,000 a month fund my company while I was moving forward. So that took a lot of stress off. So moving forward, but then it actually added a lot of stress to what I did, because not only am I running my business, I'm also developing business for them. but I did all the projects myself. So I would go out and create the relationship. Now this is with not them. This is 11 series completely by myself. So I would go out and meet clients with Colliers International, who manages the most federal buildings in the country. Boyd Watterson owns the most federal buildings in the country that they lease back. That it's federal lease buildings that they own, and then they'll have a tenant like the VA or U.S. Customs and Border Protection or Social Security Administration or National Archives building in St. Louis or FBI buildings. So I just created that really good relationship with them, even though they're not the federal government. But then I get to call that a lot federal government past performance and qualifications. So that's how I developed that. But it was stressful, and I was working day and night, traveling all across the country, away from my wife and kids all the time. But it was interesting because my wife didn't even get upset then. I was like, well, you're not even mad that I'm traveling anymore. She's like, well, it's us. It's not, you're not doing it for everybody else and making them money. So the stressful part there was I would business develop, project develop, finance, procure all the equipment. I'd hire local installation crews to do the installation, and I managed everything from top to bottom. And when time went by and we started growing really quickly, I started my next stress, I couldn't sleep at night. My next stress was actually hiring folks to come in and start project managing and doing that. And it was just so hard for me to let go. And I had to manage them. And I remember talking to Colonel Brunner about it. And he's like, dude, you sound like an officer. I just thought that was pretty funny. So that was my biggest stress, especially because when it's not your own company, you don't think of little things like, hey, we got this project at $600,000, and I was like, well, how are we going to get the equipment? Will they fund us? They're like, no, I didn't think about that. And the equipment's like $300,000. I'm like, well, hey, dude, I gotta go, get it now. When I say investor, not owning a part of my company, but they would just drop $300,000 in my account. I'd buy the equipment and I'd give them points on the money. But those type of things they don't think about. So but once we got our system up and running and we're a machine, I applied for the 8A and got my SDVOSB. And here was the next stress. Since we had our 8A, I kind of changed our business model to where we went and got our federal Florida general contractor's license. And at that point, it was the stress was like, I've always heard about this 8A phenomenon. I've had 8A partners. Is this stuff real? And so I start networking. Well, another reason for my success is I've had a lot of mentors that run 200, 500 $1 million companies, older folks in their 50s, 60s, and we've just created really good relationships. I can get them on the phone at any minute, and they have relationships all throughout the country with the federal government that they've been successful and have done a lot of work for. So they would introduce me to their network. And man, when we go sit down with the federal government, especially if somebody there's a infantry or combat veteran or in the federal government, we just click. Why not do business with an 8A that's an SDVOSB than just an 8A, right? Or an SDVOSB. You guys understand, because the 8A, they could cut that whole procurement time in a quarter. Instead of waiting 12, 14 months, you can get a direct award in a couple months. So the stress was this, I was a small business, capital's, a little bit limited. So they wanted me to get up and go to DC and meet a branch chief from the Department of Homeland Security. I go up there, we have dinner, we end up being buddies, and a couple of them, their guys are veterans, have a few drinks, a good time, but they see our business model and what we want to do. Like, Mac, we like you. We'd like for your team to come back up and do a presentation to all our project managers across the country. So we do that. A couple weeks later, or about a month later, we fly back to DC. We do our presentation. Everybody loves us. They see how good we are, and it's not me; it's my guys. I mean, they're just studs. I mean, West Point grad, mechanical engineers, artillery officers, infantry officers, guys that have been in construction for 16 years, managing over $700-800 million in contracts during that time. That type of stuff. It's my guys that make it that are good. And then my talents is I just become really amicable with our clients really quickly. And they're like, Mac, that's great. Let's keep going. And we're supposed to get awarded a sole source contract to do a border station. It was a $24.5 million project on the New York border last December, and we were going to do the CMA, construction management administration of it. And December came, I didn't get it. And then all of a sudden, January, they called me up and they said, hey, I hate telling you this, but we didn't get funded for that project, and it's not going to happen until 2026. And we have that relationship going, so they feel really bad. And I go, no, that's fine. I go, hey, thanks for just keeping us in the loop and the opportunity. And then they said, hey, what do you know about EV charging stations? And I said, absolutely nothing. And the phone call got really quiet. And at that point, I said, actually, I don't know anything about EV charging, but we do have our Florida General Contractor's license. I can pull a guy on my design team to do the design. We can do the project management, QA, QC, safety, GC, site supervision. Our manufacturer's rep has the best in class EV charging equipment in the country. And then I can have a local installation crew do the installation. And they just were like, whoa, that's exactly what we wanted to hear. We'll put your whole team together and come back up and present to us. And this was like this February. So we got our team. And what I did was I brought in a design firm that's done over 400 EV charging station designs across the country. And then I brought in a company called Titan Electric, and a buddy of mine's their CEO, or was their CEO, he's not there anymore, but they have 1,000 electricians or 1,000 employees, 800 of them are electricians. They have $50 million bonding per project, aggregate north of $200 million. They've done over 140 EV charging installations in the last year. And then we had our crew. And once we did our presentation, I mean, they actually cut a couple other folks, and they sole sourced us several EV charging systems. And we're part of a pilot right now with 4 other companies. And our guys have just done so much federal work, and they're really good. They know what the contracting officers, along with the project managers, they know what they're going to ask before they even ask it. So we're just good. So the stress with it, so then they said, yes, we want you to roll with it. Well, here's the other stress. I started going out at risk. Everybody told me not to do it, but I went ahead and did it anyway. So we went out at risk and started doing the design on all these projects across the country. So the stress for me that was scary was I had $140,000 of my own money out. And I mean, it was scary. I mean, it was really, really, really scary. And I was taking a big crap shot. And then I remember calling Colonel Brunner up and be like, hey, sir, you should have an offer letter coming your way. And sure enough, they all started hitting bam, 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 bam. And since then, they're kicking everybody else off the pilot program. They're giving us their entire portfolio next year. And then we just got selected. I just signed the contract this week. We're doing 49 EV charging stations right now at Fairchild Air Force Base in Washington. So there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of risk and getting out there, meeting the right people. Sometimes small businesses offices work, 90% of the time they don't. Mentors, I have a ton I go to a lot of conferences. And just a couple of last things. I know you probably want me to get off Colonel Brunner, but so
That's right. Hurry.
I see it. It's making me nervous now. Yeah, just always do what you say you're going to do. I always go in there and say, hey, we're all, we're not going to screw up. We're going to screw up sometimes, but you're going to be the first person we call. Just have that integrity and dignity, and that's it. So open it up to questions.
Hey, Chris, I saw you had your hand up for a while. Go ahead.
Actually, no, that was from before. I'm trying to figure out how to take the hand down.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Reggie.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. No problem.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Because as I said earlier, I'm going to take off here. I wanted to share from listening to Mac talk. One of the things that, talking about a plan, we all, once you get in the 8A program, everybody's trying to focus on single awards and large amounts. One of our thoughts, though, was as we transition through it, you want to, as you're trying to grow your revenues, you at least need to target the larger competitive 8A contracts. And so our plan there was to partner with a previous graduating or graduated 8A teammate in a joint venture, and then start going after competitive 8As as well. And that's worked out well for us. In fact, just earlier this year, I mentioned the SEAL contract. That's a $10 million IDIQ single award. Last year at GSA Stars 3. There's a lot of, so as that plan, it's fantastic, especially as you're going along. Getting a $4 million direct award seems like a lot, but as you're starting to move along and try to really grow your programs, the larger amounts are available to us. You hear some of the super success stories, especially around the DC areas, where some small business or even an 8A, wins tens of millions of dollar contracts and the competitive ones. So that's just a target out there too that I hadn't heard mentioned, and I wanted to do that before I take off. And I am more than happy to meet up with all these esteemed gentlemen and ladies, anywhere you'd like to meet, because I think we all can learn from each other and potentially grow together.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you for that, Reggie. Appreciate you sharing those points. Very great points. And thank you. Mac, greatly appreciate you sharing your experience and, your pipeline and how you kind of got there and started it. And I think for some of the firms out there, that's very important of getting that pipeline started and to continue to build on that pipeline. Because I think, one of the things, being a BOS for 7 years, seeing is that, some of the firms don't know how to build and continue to create a continuous flowing pipeline and what it takes, to create that. And so, I mean, that's definitely, living experience of what it takes. So thank you for that, for sharing that.
Yeah, my wife doesn't like that I have another boss. I'm like, shh, don't say that word.
Hey, she will always be household 6, remember? All right, guys. Hey, we'll be rolling into our next segment here, Joint Ventures and Mentor Protege Lessons Learned. We've got Larry from Provera Corporation coming up here. And Mr. Larry Grant is the CEO of the Provera Corporation, a Native American-owned 8A and service-disabled veteran-owned small business that was founded in 2016 and headquartered in Tampa, Florida, with an office in Northern Virginia. Larry has 40 years of military service and government contracting experience. I think, the first time, when Larry came in and I called him, like he's already thinking about, putting together a joint venture and, a mentor protege agreement. And so, I mean, right off the bat, those were some of the things that like he explored. And, it definitely, we both kind of got experience in that, myself from reviewing them at the time when the SBA was reviewing the mentor protege agreements, and same for the joint ventures. So Larry, without any further ado, sir, you have the full time, so take your time during your presentation, sir. Go ahead.
No, I appreciate that, Ron. Thanks a lot. And I've really enjoyed listening to all of the companies. Some of you I'm familiar with already, others I'm learning about, but you've all done tremendous success. And the story is 75% of businesses fail, small businesses fail within the first 3 years. And so if you've made it past 3 years, then you're one of the successful 25%. And continuing on is even more important. And so one of the things that we really encourage when we all, and I hear every one of you talk about being a mentor and also having had mentors or having mentors, I think one of the most important things about that is understanding is you're not going to be in this program forever. You're going to have to graduate. And when you do, you kind of get out of the minnow pond into the big boy pond. And so we have to learn, how all to be able to compete in the small pond, or the minnow pond, I call it, until we're able to graduate and learn to compete in the larger pond. And some of those things that are there to enable you to do this is obviously the SBA Mentor Protege Program. And we've been through at Provera Corporation 2 mentor proteges. We just completed one actually completed both recently. One was an absolute failure. And so that's why I'm a great person to talk about what works and what doesn't work. And one was an absolute success because we learned from the first one where we failed. Okay, so I'm going to talk at a very high level, and then we're in the breakout session. I will be there along with my other partner to answer any questions that you might have concerning the Mentor Protege program or even joint ventures. But just talking about the Mentor Protege program, there are just 3 high-level points that I would make for you. One is know your partner. That's the most important part. And when I say know your partner, that doesn't mean that you've met them at the bar a couple of times or at a couple of outings here and there or whatever else, because all that makes is for poor bedfellows. Ultimately, what you need to do is treat that company you're going to get into business with as your mentor, just like when you dated your wife. You didn't rush into that. You took time with that, or hopefully we all did. We took time with it, and we went through that over a period of time, and we got to know each other. Okay. And that's the same thing that you have to do, whomever you're going to have as a partner. I suggested you do some deals with them. If they're really interested in you, you're really interested in them, then they shouldn't have an issue with you being a prime and or you being a sub on some opportunities with them. This is one of the best opportunities when you go through these to learn about their company culture, to be able to see what I call under the covers a little bit, and then also to be able to understand how they do business. And you'll be surprised, or you won't be surprised because you probably encountered it. But when you get into opportunities to be in meetings with them and go through and discuss different strategies, pricing, approaches, and all for opportunities and all, this really begins to give you the look under the kimono with them, because whatever they bring out there is going to be endemic throughout their corporation on how they approach all their deals. And then lastly, research the company that you're going to look at to be your potential mentor. And the reason I say research them is, again, you may not get all the information that you need just from your meeting engagements with them, especially if your meeting engagements aren't wide and engaging. You're going to get what they show you, right? And they may not be showing you everything. So the important thing is to do your own investigation. You can do this through 2 means. And for those that have been in the military, you'll understand this. Open source intelligence. Go out and see what's written about them. Look through social media and everything else to see. The social media and everything out there today, you have access to tons of information. You can find out anything about anything. And so I encourage that. The second medium is to go and find out through informal networks. We would call that human in the military. Human intelligence. Talk to people that you've seen through your open source investigations that have been in business with them before, might have been a teammate to them as a sub, might have been a prime to them when they were a sub, and just, have casual conversation and bring them up and find out the reaction. A lot of times you don't be shocked if you think they're the best things at sliced bread and you bring their name up casually to someone. Of course, you're doing this for a reason, and you get a really different body language reply and or, an immediate visceral reply from them about their experiences with whom you are looking at as being a mentor. And so the point about this is not to scare anybody off from it, but just make sure, because once you enter into this relationship, it is a pain to get out of the relationship. You can, but at the same time, it can be held against you too. So it could count against you as one of your 2 that you have. And these things can be very valuable and really accelerate your organization. The second thing is ensure that your interests are aligned. When I say ensure your interests are aligned, if they're in the DoD and you're over in the civilian agency side and they're doing health and medicine and you're over here, doing widgets and stuff like that, are you really aligned in your interest? Maybe they can offer you some business mentoring and all, but you're in, diversely opposed, if you will, industries within the federal government. So there's not going to be a lot of lineup together that you can take advantage of. So find someone that's in like spaces and maybe even like markets with you. Make sure that when you put together your all small mentor protege agreement, and that's composed of the sections, if you've done this, it's called management and tech assistance, financial assistance, contracting assistance, international trade education assistance, business development assistance, and general or admin assistance. Those are the categories in that administrative agreement, which you must put together, and it must go to the SBA and they must bless it. And then it's signed and it's official. but that's going to dictate the amount of support and the areas of support and all that you're going to receive from your mentor over the 3 to 6 years of the relationship that you have. Make sure that your markets are aligned, as I said earlier. And then again, it's just services or your solutions are aligned, because if you're just two diametrically opposed industries, other than them just giving you good business mentoring, there's not going to be a lot you can share about that which you do. So just make sure they kind of line up together. And then lastly, as the protege, don't walk around with a cup out. Okay. It's nothing worse than a beggar. What you want to do is you want to bring value, and you are valuable. Okay. So I always say, give as much as you get. And what I mean by that is be a worthwhile partner. While the mentor has volunteered to help you and you found some synergies together and some business interests and all, the way we show gratitude and consideration is by always going the extra mile in everything we do. You show up on time, you have great presentations, you do done great research, you are making the meetings that you need to make. You make sure that you're prepared when you show up for them, all these different types of things. Because believe it or not, this sounds pretty cliche. And in some cases, it almost sounds synthetic. But when you get into meetings and you can tell that this is someone you're supposed to be partnering with for an opportunity, or at least discussing an opportunity, and they're busy looking at their phone when you begin to discuss things and all, they have no depth of detail on that what you're wanting to talk about or consider. And what you can tell very quickly is they're really not interested in you. They're not really interested in the deal. They're just paying lip service to you for the moment until they can stiff arm you further. And so that's why you want to make sure that you are always a worthwhile partner. I have seen companies, and I've had companies come to me as their, the handout company. And I'm always willing to give a handout to anyone and all. But as many of you have said, if I don't see that you have interest in return, I don't see you hustling, I don't see that you're as engaged as I'm engaged with you, then I'm less inclined, if not inclined, to work with you. And then lastly, always uphold all of your points or your end of your agreement that you establish with your mentor protege. Now, the mentor protege, I said I had one that failed. We were used as a business development arm for them, because my two business partners and I have tremendous contacts within the federal government, on both the federal government side and in the industry side. And so we were used for our contacts, and they used this to leverage it for themselves. We eventually ended that relationship because we could see it wasn't going to go anywhere. And then we had another relationship with the company. Before we got into that relationship with them, we did the things that I just advised you to do. As we dated them, we learned about their culture, we learned about the individuals running it and all. And when it was over and done with, it was already essentially a marriage, because we knew each other well. We were aligned very well. We had the same interests. They knew our cultural values. We knew their cultural values. And so we were able to make it a success. And as you well know, if you're involved in one, or you've been involved in one that was successful, it can do immense things for your company and its growth. Okay, so I can open it for questions, or I can wait until we go into the breakout session about mentor protege agreement. What I was going to do now is just talk very quickly about joint ventures. Ron, is that okay if I just go right into joint ventures?
Yeah, absolutely, Larry. Go ahead and talk about, hey, you've got the floor, sir.
Okay, got it. Just wanted to make sure. All right. Okay, so here's the thing about joint ventures. Joint ventures are outstanding. They can be awesome, but they also can be a problem for you too. So I'm just going to talk again at the high level about joint ventures. I've had several joint ventures. I currently have 2 joint ventures. All the joint ventures that I've had so far have been successful. Okay. But again, it's like everything else. Who your joint venture partner is going to be a large part of your success. The first thing I would tell you to do is know the rules about joint ventures. And when you say, well, geez, how am I going to know the rules? I'm not a lawyer. I've never done joint ventures and all. The SBA has a lot of great material on the SBA site about joint ventures and about how to set a joint venture up. So I would always say, number one, read it and understand it. Number 2, consult your business opportunity specialist. As Ron had mentioned, and I know we all love our business opportunity specialists. And look, guys, we have some great ones in Florida, as I can hear. I know how Ron is, and I'll hear about Jan, the rest of them up in North Florida. But I also talk to some companies that have them in other parts of the country, and they're not so good. Okay. So it's like everything else. We are just blessed in the state of Florida with what we have. And so I want to say hats off to the SBA Florida team in general. but consult your BOS because they have a lot of knowledge too, especially about the SBA. And what the good BOSs will do is if they don't know the answer, they say, I'll get you the answer. And they'll go into the SBA and find out the information that they need. One of the things that's deadly, and I'm saying deadly important about a joint venture is once you establish it and make it legal and all, you have to put together what's called a joint venture agreement. And I tell you what, this agreement can trip up more companies than not. Okay. A JV agreement is a specified agreement, and the SBA does have templates for you to use, but they're not going to do the agreement for you. You're going to put that together, and then the way it's set up now, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, or anybody else from SBA, but some of my first ones I did, you had to put the joint venture agreement together. It had to go to your business opportunity specialist, and then it went up the chain through the district offices all the way up to Washington SBA, where their individuals or lawyers there had to look at it and had any editorial comments or changes to it. And anyway, it kind of went back and forth until it was finally done and blessed. Okay, and that's when you became a certified 8A joint venture. But with the rule changes in 2020 and also in 2022, and I say make sure you're not reading anything prior to 2020 or 2022 because you'll get some bad information and it's out on the internet. You know, the internet never cleans itself up. So you can find some old information out there. So really look at the dates of what you're looking at. But when you look at it, you'll see that the program changed so that you no longer have to submit a joint venture agreement to the SBA prior to submitting for an opportunity. Okay. But when you are awarded the opportunity, then the SBA is going to come to you and say, okay, we need to see your joint venture agreement. And you say, okay, well, I've got a template for joint venture agreement. I fill it out. I should be good. Well, you got to make sure, are you going after this from the prospect of an AA? Are you going after it from the prospect of an SDVOSB or a woman-owned small business or hub zone? Because there are different statutes that you have to cite within that JV agreement. And if you have those incorrect, it can cause them to say you have an invalid joint venture agreement, and therefore we cannot allow this award to occur to you. Nothing could be more devastating than all the effort and all that you put into it to have that shut down for you. So just make sure that you really understand your JV agreements, that you have the correct language, work with your BOS. They're there to help you and they will help you. Now, just a couple of other things that will trip people up after they get the joint venture up and running and win an award. Here's the thing, your joint venture has to be unpopulated. Okay. And you said, well, some people say, okay, what does that mean? That means you don't have employees in that joint venture. It's unpopulated. You might have a secretary or an administrative person or someone in there to keep the records on it and all that, or you can just do that within one of the member companies. But it just means that your joint venture is simply a legal entity interfacing with the US government for contracts. But the execution of those contracts are going to take place by one or more of the members of that joint venture. So this means that when the government issues a contract to the joint venture, it then has to issue subcontracts to the members that are going to perform on the contract. And I've run into some companies that didn't know that. They had we got a contract from the government. And I said, well, did you subcontract your JV members that are performing? No, we didn't. We didn't know we had to do that. You know, we just, money comes into the company and we push the money out. And I said, yep. And when you get audited, you're going to be destroyed. You know, you have to understand rules are rules and ignorance is no defense. And so it's very important you know this stuff. Same thing as I just mentioned flows for the financials. You know, there has to be financials provided. Invoices have to flow. So, you know, if you have member companies within a joint venture are performing on a contract, they have to invoice the joint venture, and the joint venture then does a single consolidated invoice to the government. And it has to flow that way. And then when the payment comes down, comes into the joint venture, and then it is broken out by those that have performed according to the invoices and all within it. And you need to keep good records of this because, again, I cannot tell you how important it is. If you get audited and there are issues with it and all, it can invalidate a lot of what you've done. And in fact, worst case scenario is you can be put out of business. And that's not something we want to see happen to any of our partners. And so I've covered at a very high level, you know, number one, having a mentor protege agreement and why it's successful and why it fails. And then number two, joint ventures Joint ventures can be fantastic for you, but it's no different than picking the right mentor project partner. Make sure you're picking the right joint venture partner. Now, one other question some people might have, and I'll kind of I'll go ahead and address it here, so it may not have to be addressed in the breakout sessions, is know why you're getting together. You can pursue specific opportunities with that joint venture, and that's what you really should do. You should come together for a specific opportunity. Excuse me. Go after it. And then if you decide that you want to use that joint venture again to go after something else, then you are able to use that same agreement and have it modified, and then have your business opportunity specialist look at it and say that it's good to go. So you can, and you know, the rules are essentially that you are allowed to win as many opportunities within a 2-year period as you possibly can win. Now, what does that mean, 2-year period? Because I've asked all these questions. Ron and I have gone back and forth on this, and we checked with the legal experts and everything else. Basically, when you win your first prime award, that starts your 2-year window, and you're allowed to win as many opportunities or to put in proposals for as many opportunities as possible during that 2-year time period. Okay. Now, your joint venture can live on and continue to execute those contracts and all for as long as those contracts are in existence. So if you have a joint venture that goes after, say, the STARS 3 contract, and you win that, that's a 10-year award. So that means that joint venture can be in existence for 10 years, even though it cannot go after any new business anymore. Other IDIQs or other single award contracts, you can go after all of the task orders that come out on that STARS 3 for that 10-year window. And if you win some of them, then your joint venture continues to exist until you are done executing all of those task orders that are on that particular contract or that particular IDIQ or GWAC that belongs to the government. Okay. So just some things to think about. Unfortunately, we don't have the time here to talk to a lot of it in any great detail, but I'm always willing to speak to anyone that has questions after this meeting over, and on other days. I can give anyone my cell phone number, and you're welcome to text to me or call me. Just leave me a voicemail, etc., and I'll get back to you, and I'm willing to answer any questions I can possibly answer. So, Ron, I'll turn it back to you.
Great. Hey, thank you, Larry. I think we do have somebody who had their hand up for a little while. Karen Ladd. Karen, did you want to come on and ask your question to Larry?
Thank you so much. Such great information. So articulate. Really appreciate it. I have a question because I'm in a little different situation. My husband is a veteran. He's retired. I'm the one that's still working in my own business, and I don't know if I qualify for 8A. And also, that's number one. Number two, what I do is document with photography and video progress of construction projects, and even storytelling video. So it's by documentation, it's all media, it's video and photography, before, during, after, and then the story. I don't know if this is something that would qualify me for either, for these two questions.
Yeah, so I mean, I may not be the best person to answer that for you, because you're asking if you could qualify as an 8A, and that's something that it would be better for Ron or one of the other SBA individuals to answer for you on here. There's a few things that would qualify you for that, and not knowing your background and all, and I wouldn't want you to have to divulge that here necessarily, but they can certainly answer those questions for you and let you know whether or not you could qualify as an 8A. And then the work that you're doing, I mean, I've listened to several individuals on here already, fantastic individuals that have talked about they do work that it's related to, the construction industry in some way, shape, or fashion, or energy industry, whatever else. And I think they would have a better understanding, could tell you more about whether what you're doing now would qualify as something that the federal government would want or need. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was going to say we do it for municipalities in South Florida, but was wondering, we have never done it for the federal government.
Can anybody answer that for her? Anybody?
Hey, Karen, what I would say, right? So in this next, in our breakout sessions, I think those are all great questions to kind of, talk to our resource partners and our BOSs that'll be in that breakout session. That can kind of answer that further, right? And we can also, like, I mean, myself or Jay or Amy or Carmen, can get with you offline and answer, kind of,
Okay.
spend a little additional time with you going into, what all it's going to be required of, coming into the 8A program, which we'd love to do. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're okay
Thank you.
with that. Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely, man.
So,
Pat,
yeah.
oh, you're welcome, man. Absolutely. Pat?
Hey, good morning. First off, thanks, Larry, for the sharing kind of those lessons learned, school of hard knocks in some cases.
Yeah.
The we've and I'm assuming your JV was part of the SBA's mentor protege program, JV, right? So um, I guess the question I got for you for the one that didn't work out, how long into that process were you? And it sounds to me like you didn't have win-win alignment, right? It was kind of one of those I win, you lose deals. And what were some of the indicators that things started to go bad? And I'll give you the context for the question. Ron's got in his inbox this morning, our SBA mentor protege JV. So I'm at the very early stages of that. A lot of the lessons that you shared on selecting a protege, or I'm sorry, a mentor, I couldn't agree more strongly about. For those companies that are looking for mentors, I can share with you offline how we went about finding ours, but second everything that Larry shared earlier.
Yeah, sure. It's a great question, Pat. And if you get into the business of setting up mentor proteges, being one or the other, you'll go through these lessons learned, and then same thing with the joint ventures. But for us, when the mentor protege, our first mentor protege that we got into, and I won't mention the name of the company that was bad or the company that was successful for us, but I'll just say the company that was bad, they put on a great show. I mean, they rolled out the red carpet and everything else and all, but it was a facade ultimately. And that's what we had to learn. Now, how did we know? From the start of it, it looked real. It looked very real. They talked the talk, they walked the walk, they had presentations, the people, the everything else and all. So, I mean, it all looked good. But then again, at the same time, and this is not something to build things on, but one of the things we know as service veterans and all, you just kind of develop sometimes a sixth sense about people and things like that. And so there was always something bugging me in the back of my mind, but I could never put my finger on about the relationship with them. So how did we begin to see it go downhill now? Well, initially there were there's a great pipeline developed. And this is, I should have picked this up as a first clue, and I didn't early on, is just about every one of the opportunities weren't small business. They were full and open opportunities, right? So they were focused, and they're like, you're going to be a sub to us and all this, but we need you to help us with the business intelligence. And so we're thinking, okay, well, this is great, past performance, be a sub, everything else. So it all sounded good. But then, what we began to see after about, and it's only lasted about 11 months before we ended it, because we just see it was going nowhere. And then we could begin to see what we were really being used for. Is for the first 3-4 months, we were going to a lot of meetings and stuff, and we were using a lot of okay, when I say our company's networks, our company's relationships, and we're funding this ourselves as well, right? As our being a good partner, if you will. Now, this is just travel and everything else that's associated with it during this period of time. So eventually we began to figure it out when we would bring small business opportunities to them and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I think we should go after this and all. And they would give us a little bit of lip service, but always seem to brush it to the side, or we'll talk about that next time. Or, yeah, that's got some great stuff, but we need to find this out or that out. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I say just really, you have to date your partner. If your partner's willing to bring you in and be, initially and make you a sub before you ever get into an all small protege agreement, mentor protege. I think that's one of the best ways to begin to learn and let you participate in the process with them of that RFP, that opportunity. I think that's one of the best ways for you to begin to get insight, be able to visit their actual offices, and be able to see their people, meet with other people besides their general leadership teams and stuff like that. That's where you begin to really see if people are happy, not happy, and how people are operating and all, because everything looks great on the surface, but beneath the surface, the water is turbulent. So that's just a few things that I would throw out very quickly. But, like I said, after about 3 months of all these, open source, full and open competitions and stuff, we could begin to see that we didn't really have a place at the table with them.
No, thanks for that. I really appreciate that, and that solid advice. And we'll put that in the pocket to observe as we go through the process.
Sure.
I have
Larry,
a
you are
question.
so right. I was just saying, Larry, you are 100% correct. And that's one of the reasons why we took the strategy of trying to build ourselves. It's a little bit harder road, but once you cross the threshold, it's much, much better. And thank you so much for articulating what you said. It's so true.
No, you're exactly right. And I loved when I heard what you said about building your own teams. But that's what we've done now is we've just gone out and we've found a handful. When I say handful, it's only a handful of business partners, and we have like cultures, like leadership. We think the same way. We even price the same way. So I don't have to worry about bringing in this high level team that I know is going to have this exorbitant markups. And I've got to try to figure out, in order to meet their markups and give them what they want, I've got to offset it with decreases on my other partners, right? In order for us to be competitive in the deal. So there's just a lot of things that don't work out, and growing your own team that you go to battle with all the time, that's the way to go. I agree with you. It's absolutely the way to go.
I have a question. So, obviously we can only get sole sourced up to $4.5 million. And we're doing a really good job. And it looks like we have a very large opportunity coming up. And I have an ANC that I like. I know the upper management pretty decently, and I think it'll be a good match. And we're looking at going after putting a JV together. The only thing that kind of I'm acting as a sub right now on 2 other projects, and it's crazy because one of them's a massive company, and you'd think that they would know how to run projects, and they don't. And we're just we're trying to hold. I mean, it's insane. It's a massive Fortune 500 company, and we're doing this project, and we're sitting there saying, "Hey, do you have your schedule of values yet? Do you have the project management timeline set up yet?" And they're like, and then they won't answer me. And I'm like, all right. And we're chomping at the bit because we're infantry leaders, right? Because we can anticipate what every construction meeting we have every week, we can sit there and anticipate what they want because my guys have that experience. So when they ask for it, bam, here you go, sir. Bam, here you go, sir. Bam, here you go, sir. And one of the projects we're doing is this massive pilot, and it was crazy. I've never seen anything like this. It was a construction kickoff meeting. 120 people from the federal government were invited. Half of them were, some of them were at the Pentagon, and it ended up being about 60-something people show up, and it was crazy. And what was crazy about it, they put us on there as the PM, and we're supposed to liaison between the base, between the federal government, between the company, and the guy didn't even make it that's supposed to be the PM, so we had to sit there and give it, which is fine because we're good at that. The question, and I know I'm setting the floor for the question. So, and we don't have any power or authority. Finally they're starting to let us do things because they understand that we know what we're doing. If I enter in a JV with an ANC, they're a 51%, we're a 49%. I don't care about controlling the money. I don't care about ego or anything. I just want to make sure that if my name's attached to it, that we can make it run smooth. And to do that, I want to be the one. Can it be written in the JV? Like, hey, we're going to be the ones that sit down with the program managers from the federal government, the project managers, the base guys. Is there a way to do that? Does that make sense? My question.
Yeah, so here's what you would do. You have a JV agreement, which is a little more general, and that's what the SBA needs to be able to award opportunities to people and all. But if you sit down with them, another thing that I encourage everybody, we didn't talk about it, but you need to have a JV operating agreement. And the operating agreement is a little bit different because it talks about how the joint venture is going to operate within what you just talked about, making those types of decisions or doing those types of things, right? And so that's where you would write it into that joint venture operating agreement, and make sure there's nothing in the JV agreement that's going to, cause whatever you have in the operating agreement to be rescinded or revoked or whatever else, or or refer to a higher clause in a different agreement. So you have to look at it carefully. Yeah, you could spell that out in there. Now, from the federal government's perspective, whomever the 51%, especially if it's an 8A joint venture, which it probably will be with Alaska Native, they're going to have to control program management of the company. But what you can say is, look, we understand you control program management, but we want to be in those meetings. That's basically what you say. Wherever that PM's at meeting with the government, we want to be in with them, or else this joint venture is not going to work out. Because that's the only way you're going to have of controlling things. And ultimately, you don't have a lot of control because they are the 51% owners, and you just got to really hope that you are aligning yourself right with them and all. Because at the end of the day, and I don't say this to belittle the company you're with or anything, but just remember their interest may not be your interest all the time. And so you can only control as much as you can control. And unfortunately, in this deal, you can have it written in and all that, and you just have to hope that they're going to hold true and hold true to the agreement, right?
Thank you. Thank you. Yep, that's big. Maybe when we get down the road and get closer, I might give you a holler.
Yeah, like I said, I don't mind doing that. I'm not going to say I'm going to have all your answers, but I have a lot of experience from HKU, Hard Knocks University, and then also from the success that we've had with other joint ventures.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Hey, I appreciate the dialogue and the questions. Larry, thank you for all that expert knowledge and experience that you distill or provided us. It's been phenomenal. Keep those questions coming. We're going to go ahead and go into the next portion of our event here, which are the networking breakout sessions, right? So the first breakout session will be government contracting resources. The second one will be 8A veteran networking, and the third one will be mentor protege joint venture agreement networking questions. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and start placing people in those and opening those up. So if you haven't done so already, please provide what room you would like to get placed in.
What do you want us to put that, sir, in the chat?
Yeah, so for my speakers, right, for the ones that did the panelists, I'm going to put you guys in the 8A networking, the 8A veteran networking one, which is 2. So I've had the majority of you guys placed in there already. Let's see, and then I was going to put Wilson in there with Larry to talk more on mentor protege agreements and joint venture agreements to kind of talk to people about those. So all right, so we'll go ahead and do that. I want to try and do these breakout sessions up until as close to the top of the hour as I can to give us the most amount of time. So right now it's 11:32, and so I'll probably bring it up until about 12 o'clock, if that's all right with you guys. We'll bring it up till 12, and then we'll pull everybody back in, quick closing remarks, and then you guys are done for the day. So just hold tight as I get these going here. So
I'd like to nominate the highest grossing company to get us a yacht for our networking event in person. Which one is that up here?
I think that would be you.
Yeah, that's right.
Not at all. Not right now. I can't wait till it's me, though.
Maybe next year. Give me a call.
Ron, as you're
so
doing
as some of
that,
these, yeah. So as some of these rooms open up, people will start to disappear in those rooms. So Just
How do I
gonna-
go to the room, sir?
It'll pull you in automatically.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So my
I'm used to.
speakers will get pulled in. Larry, you'll get pulled in.
Okay.
Chris, and then I'm just gonna assign the rest of everybody else here. I will need somebody like from my side, to help me kind of assign participants reading off the chat so I can directly input them. If I can have somebody come up online and do that for me, read through the chat, that would help.
But again, sent that to you for another signature yesterday morning. I didn't know if you had an opportunity to look at that yet.
Okay, so was that after the email I sent to you about the typos? Wes, are you there?
Yep, there you go. Hey, I hear you now.
Was that after the email that I sent to you about the typos?
Yes, so you sent me the typo, I think the day before. Yes, so you sent, yeah, that was done.
I agree.
Let me see when you sent that.
And I'm gonna hang up. All right, can you hear me? I think you're on mute on Teams.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. I'm back in.
Did you still have two people in here for you?
That's weird.
Okay, I'm gonna do the unassigned to you. We're gonna go 8A networking. Save. Okay.
That's even after I rebooted. I wonder.
Yeah, somehow it's picking up a guest. You should be disappearing here shortly. I would think. Assign participants. Yep, there you go.
be something that I could do as well. So.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back.
We're back.
Welcome
We're
back.
back.
Welcome back.
Okay. It's like magic.
That's
know,
right.
right?
Just like magic. Hopefully you all were able to kind of engage in some discussion, pass some phone numbers around, and find out some more information and some additional resources. So I tried to give you guys as much time as possible. I know sometimes with these keeping them towards the end, we kind of cut down on the amount of time that we allot for them. But, I think if we ended up putting something like this at the beginning and then we did it the other way, we wouldn't have much time for the people speaking, and we might not have the audience that we did. So that's kind of like, my mindset behind it. But I just want to thank all of you guys, for your participation today. And all the great questions and the guidance and wisdom that you've all instilled on us, because we all know that iron sharpens iron, and we're all here to help each other out. And so thank you all for that. Just kind of go in some last minute remarks. We do, have our resource partners. A lot of you guys are very familiar with them. We had one of them on there today, our Veterans Business Outreach Center, our VBOC, Mr. Stephen Roberts. And then we, SCORE, our small business development centers, our women business development centers, and our Apex accelerators or procurement technical assistance centers. And I know a lot of you guys are aces working with them. And, what I ask of you to as well is to continue to engage them and work with them, to help sharpen these other small businesses that, are in our community, to help them grow and excel as well too. So, and then lastly, we just want to thank you guys for your service. The commitment that it takes, or the commitment while you're in the military is, it's a lot. I'm also a veteran. I've got 20 years in the military. I'm currently still serving in the Army Reserve. And, I've been deployed twice, one for when the military first went in and did their 15-month deployment. So, I was able to experience, an all expenses paid to one of Uday Hussein's summer homes out, along the Tigris. So, I know what it's like to suck. And, I know a lot of you guys have done that. And, it's time away from your families. And those families having you guys away, and and that's a lot. That's hard on your family. That's hard on you guys. And we, some of us, we understand that, and we value the service that you guys have, provided our country. And we're the country. The reason why we are in our country is because of your service. So thank you, and thank you for your continuous support through your firms. Natalie, any parting words? Can't hear you.
Because my mic was muted. So I have one last thing that I want to share. I don't know if you businesses know that the SBA National Awards, Small Business Week Awards nomination period is open. All around the country here in Jacksonville. So if you feel that you want to throw your small business name in the hat to compete for the top award, which would be Small Business Person of the Year, that's on a state and national level. And South Florida, North Florida also have their district awards, which is, I'm cheating. Last time I wrote something and I forgot. So the Minority Small Business Owner of the Year, we have the Veteran Business Owner of the Year, Woman-Owned Small Business Owner of the Year, and Rural Small Business Owner of the Year. So if you guys want to throw your name in the hat to compete for one of those categories, you can either visit the North Florida District Office website or the South Florida District Office website to see the guidelines to submit yourself. All of that is online. And if you are throwing your name in a hat, please complete the entire application package or it won't be reviewed. I'm sure either Ron with the South Florida or Jay or Carmen would love to say, hey, one of my 8A firms was one of the winners for one of the SBA awards. And then in May, all of the winners from here and around the country have an opportunity to rub elbows at an event. So if this is something you guys are looking to do, the slides will be shared so that way you can get onto the website, and you have until December the 7th. And it could be someone can nominate your business or you can self-nominate. So I just wanted to share that. Other than SBA helping you to start or grow your business, we want to give you an opportunity to fly the flag for your business as well. So thank you for allowing me to share that. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the VBOC for collaborating with myself and Ron to bring together this event. And if you guys didn't click that join button today, we would have been here by ourselves. So again, thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. And please let us know if there's something we can assist you with so we can continue to help you to, be successful so you can continue to help your communities, and at the end of the day, create jobs.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye,
Hey,
everyone.
Ron,
Absolutely. Yes.
Wilson Gilwell, can I have 30 seconds for a rejoiner?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your mentor protege program and JV program are both outstanding. We applied for both in our third year. Prior to that, we were winning 2, 4, 6, $10 million contracts under the AA program, which was fantastic for us. We had about 40 employees. After selecting the appropriate mentor, we won our first large MATOC of $160 million.
Wow.
A year and a half later, we won another one. Both were 5-year MATOCs, $200 million.
Wow.
The ramp up for that was going from 30 or 40 employees to 160. You must have a great relationship with your bank. You've got to have an accounting firm that can advise you as well as give you the numbers. So I would just ask all of the participants to take a close look at your mentor protege program and your JV program. It can really energize your company. Thank you.
Okay,
Wilson,
thank you.
Absolutely 100%, and to add to
Ron,
that, the success of a lot of my firms have all have been results of that mentor protege program. You're spot on, and thank you for sharing that with us. So we know who's having the networking party, who's hosting that. Wilson, you've got the networking party that Mac had mentioned earlier. So you'll be providing the yacht that everybody's stepping onto to network. So
Ron,
if you guys love gumbo and boudin, you're in the right place.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah,
Amy.
yes.
Amy is trying to ask you a question.
Oh, sorry, Amy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Mr. Gilbo said, because we had someone in our breakout, and I put it in the chat. I want everyone to know that while the program's mentor protege and joint venture originally started within the 8A program, they have now expanded, and they can be through any one of our certifications, and even just as a small business. So for that participant that was asking about that, you may not qualify for the 8A one, but you could still go through the SBA to do a mentor protege or joint venture as a small business or a veteran. I know you're seeking that certification, and do it that way. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Amy. All right. With that, guys, thank you very much. And thank you to our speakers, Wilson and Courtney, Mac, and Mr. Ryan Frey, or Mr. Oh, where did he go? Hold on, sorry. And to Mr. Christopher Riley. So thank you guys. Everyone. And thank you, Larry, for the insights on the mentor protege agreement and joint venture agreement. So thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your, or actually I should say, have a wonderful weekend, and enjoy your Veterans Day next week. Thank you all.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Take it
everyone.
easy.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.